Hello accounts people, time to go back to spreadsheets, trying to improve our technique and just our basic skills. We'll see some absolute references and some vlookups and just some general hints and tips and just make life a lot easier. Now as you can see, this little cash budget, very basic spreadsheet, originated one I created for real a long time ago. The columns aren't quite right. So September may only have 30 days, but text wise it's the longest month. And as I've got all the other columns highlighted, but notice not column B or column A, when I go like this, eventually, not quite there yet, a bit too wide possibly, because I haven't got it all on screen. And yeah, so these ones will just have to be adjusted a bit manually, quite normal on something like this, a little bit of manual interface to add on to make our work presented. And I'm also going to wrap it. Oh, it was wrapped, but I'm going to center it height wise and vertical, so vertical and horizontal. Here we are. So at least it's looking nice and it's actually filling the screen nicely as well. Maybe just a little bit over to the left to be perfect. We just need to fill in some formulas. No sales in April. No, don't know why. Notice I use the keyboard, not the mouse. This borderline, much bigger than this. You're better off using the keyboard. It's the arrow key or up arrow key on the left hand side and the normal arrow keys. Also allows me from there to highlight across, total accuracy. Control R for filter to the right, much better than trying to drag with the mouse, just more accurate. And if you were actually going many more columns wide, you'd find it even more accurate relative to using the mouse. So by the time you're on column BB, trust me, I've been there, or on row 390, we'll see that in a minute, the keyboard works a lot better. And it's also a bit more visual, so you check in and can see what's happening because it's not hid behind the mouse for a start. There we are. Control R. What we now got, okay, might as well finish it off. Income minus expenditure, so we can see whether it's a good month or a bad month. C9, notice again I can see what's happening. And I've already formatted, just format cells once it was highlighted so that negative numbers come out red. And you can see there's 3 bad months and the rest is okay. The company is okay, it just needed explaining to the management that I had a problem at the start of the year paying the bills. Because if we work out the closing balance and I add the difference, or could have gone back to the income and expenditure, we can see they're overdrawn at the end of April. The solution was easy once I'd got this on a spreadsheet. It did its job. That may be because if I've duplicated, well it is because we haven't actually got the opening balances in. So the opening balance in May is the closing balance in April. There we are. Might have been tempted on a different day to have clicked on it. Keyboard wins, and there we are. Problem solved. Visual data turned into information for good visual presentation, nice and clear, nice and easy. Do it in front of somebody, even more showy. The next exercise then, vlookups. So vlookups are what we use to look up prices and addresses and all sorts of stuff on invoices and all sorts of computer systems. Even if you don't use it much, knowing that this is what your computer is doing or what your till is doing at Sainsbury's or Tesco or Poundland to look up the prices is interesting. So we've got lots of products, item numbers, dates and different numbers sold and all sorts of and different months. So what we've got a price list now. Don't have to do this first, but it won't work very well if you don't do it until you put the vlookups in. You'll get the wrong prices. Because what we need is we're going to vertically look down column A and then look across to find the description. So the computer needs to be told how far to go down, and the best way is to get column A sorted. in terms of alphabetical, so it's item number, and because I've highlighted the rest, it will take it with us as opposed to just sorting column A. But it will give you a reminder if you forget to do that. Alright, that's sorted. We can do some proper vlookups. Vlookups, okay, one of these things probably better off on the function wizard. Some functions, once you get really familiar with them, you can just type in, and there's some like if statements. Either way works pretty much equally. Depending on your experience and how often you've typed the formulas in. So if anybody says I do it this way, that's the way they do it. Okay, we want vlookup. And we're going to look up the value based on the item number, because that's the unique number, the product code or something like that. And the table is this one here. That's sort of most I'd ever select with a mouse. Any bigger, I'd definitely go keyboard. Now, whilst we're looking at, before we click OK or let it go, the description is column C, but actually you won't understand C. 1, 2, 3. As soon as I do that, we've lost it. So I've got to remember to look before clicking. There we are. This won't work as it is. It'll work so far because we haven't got an absolute reference in it. We've got A5 to D12. Well, of course, as we fill the formula down, I might as well show it. It goes so far and then it's lost the plot because it's changing the formula to A6 to D13, and of course that's not where the table is. So we're going to solve that problem, a little $sign. We can do F4 shortcut, put $, one in front of the letter, one in front of the number, but we're only going down, so we can just put a $sign there. So if you were actually manually typing in a formula, that's useful to know that sometimes you only need the $sign. So that means that as we fill the formula down, and we've got a long way to go on this, it will stay A5 to D12, but 3 is fine. That's okay. That's column 3, and C7 has got to change to C8 or whatever that looked like. So that's okay. So now let's just go all the way down. Keyboard again. This one, a normal size spreadsheet for workplace. And as you can see, I went too far. I've got to go away quite deliberate, really. But I can go back if I'm on the keyboard. Letting go of the mouse is always a problem. And there we are. It's filled it in. We can check. Quartz is 1.5 square reversible. Oh, there we are. It's that one. And actually by the number, actually, isn't it? The number we should have looked up. The 15874. Yeah, it's looked up the right description. So what else have we got to do? I'm not going to bother with the totals, just demonstrate the vlookup in the shortcuts. Net sales, so a bit of formula here. The net sales will be the number sold times the price. Well, the price is on the price list, so we better do the vlookup again. Difference is, still on vlookup, it's still C7, price relates to the product. The table array is still the same. But the price is now column D, so that will be the 4. That's only the price of one unit though, and of course I've still got to go back and put the $signs in to keep it A5 to D12. And then I need to times it by the number sold, which is D7. There we are. And I could copy that down all the way now. That's not works. Minus D7. Why did I do that one? Need new glasses. There we are. That's better. But I might as well do the gross sales and copy both columns down the same. Now, gross sales means you've got to add the VAT to it. So the VAT, in case you can't see, is in I2. So equals I. Again, we're going down. So 2. If we were going across, I'd want to put the $sign in front of the letter to stop it going across, or both. Usually works. Times, that's 20% though, so H7. And then I also need to add H7 because times H7 was only 20% of it. And bid mass is fine. the no brackets needed, addition, indices rather, multiplication before addition, so that will work fine. And then I might as well just do the pair of them together all the way down, using the keyboard to highlight and select, not worrying too much if I go too far. I can actually take my fingers off the keyboard and go back and adjust it. Control D, and there's 1 and 2 in 0 decimal places, so whilst it's all highlighted, there we are, it's a nice neat table. Now, not going to worry about the totals, just good use of keyboard, shortcuts, and the vlookup function, and I've used an absolute reference in that one. So let's do a little bit more work. One last exercise. This one's all about profit margins, based on an Osborne exercise. There's slightly different versions of it around. Not really worried about product type not displaying. I can either do that manually, or could have if I'd have double clicked it would have gone to there, which I don't know whether I want that or not. I haven't really not worried about that. We want the 8, 10, 12 and the 10, sorry, and make sure obviously it's in the right order, cleaning, hygiene, lubricants, otherwise it really would mess things up. So we've got some sales figures. Again, we might as well just fill the totals in first. Again, it doesn't matter. I mean, I could have done it a little bit quicker. I'll do that. Next box I'll do it a lot quicker. Control R. So Control D for filling the totals in, and then the vertical totals, and then Control R for filling the horizontal totals in. Not too long, looks nice. I made it a pretty yellow colour to start off with. That figure, of course, is the same that way, and that way it cross-casts. So now we actually want the profit margins in. So clever use of absolute reference, and we've got to link the workbook. So if I go equals, and its cleaning is 8% times this one. Now that's got no absolute references in at the moment, no dollar signs, and actually I don't want any, because I need it to go pick up the next few across. And it's in the right order, so it's done it, so it's changed. And then but I don't actually need it to change when I go down. So I just need the dollar sign in front of the B5. Nearly put it in the wrong place then. The B5, where the percentage is. Because otherwise it'll change it and it won't pick it up. I mean, again, I can I've done it now, so I could quickly demo that. Control R, Control D, totals, just make sure it's consistent, 2 decimal places. There we are, done. A few seconds work. And obviously things can go wrong on spreadsheets. If you've got lots of asterisks or something, it's probably to do with the absolute references, the fact that it's starting to look, or it's coming up with the wrong numbers, because that is in B5. If you didn't put the dollar sign in front of the 5, it'll go 6, 7, 8, 9, so you wouldn't get any numbers, you just got little hashes. Done, sorted. Lots of good technique there, lots of shortcuts. Control D, Control R, and use the keyboard wherever possible. It's much better for your neck and your back in the long term. You're going to be spending lots of time on account spreadsheets if you're an accountant. Get your desk right as well. Here's my desk, very naughty. I've got a cup of coffee there. But I've got 2 monitors, of course, these days. Well, this is a very expensive monitor on the right. I couldn't afford another one like it to match on the left. But I have got the height right and everything else is right. So nice, suitable mouse. That's a gaming mouse, but it's better for my fingers than a normal clicky £5 job from Hamlin or Curry's.